How are you? Are you having a good day? Getting stuff done? All right, I think the last thing I need to do is get some light in here because the sun is coming in and out like crazy. It is definitely the calm before the storm. Hi, Michael Marie. Welcome in. Hi, Vanessa. Vanessa, how are you? I remembered, right? Every time I question myself, every single time. Goodness gracious. Oh, I try. I try. All right, let me just do my quick intro because I am taking my Real Talks and reposting them onto YouTube. So I need to do an intro so that I don't have to do it later. Hi, Miss Jen. All right. Hey friends, I'm Claudia and welcome to Real Talk. This is a space for small business creatives and makers who are building something from the ground up and figuring it out as they go. Real Talk was created because I saw a need in the community, a place to have honest conversations about business, mindset, growth, and real ups and downs of entrepreneurship. Not just selling, but supporting, not just creating, but building together. You can catch Real Talk every Friday during the day on TikTok. And every week, we will focus on real topics that help you grow, stay encouraged, and keep moving forward. So today we are talking about consistency over motivation, because those are two different things. So we are going to open up this can of worms today. So let's talk about motivation, because most people think motivation is the problem, and it's actually not. The real issue is how we understand motivation. Motivation is an emotional response. It's not a strategy. It's not a system. It's a feeling that comes from excitement, inspiration, urgency, or pressure. Motivation usually comes from a new idea, a new goal, a success, someone else's win, and a burst of energy. That's why motivation feels so good at the beginning of something. New business, new product, new year, new plan. Here's the science behind this, because I think it's important to understand it. Our brains are wired to respond to novelty. Did you know that? When something is new, your brain releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical. That's why starting feels great. Dopamine spikes with newness. Repetition lowers the spike. Routine doesn't give the same emotional high. So motivation naturally drops. That means when your brain isn't hitting that new, and the business becomes routine, like packing orders, posting, creating content, answering messages, your brain stops giving you that emotional reward. And I know that for a lot of us, especially in January, coming off of that fourth quarter, for lack of better words, high, when your sales are coming in and everything seems easy and everything's hitting, January can be a rough month. It can be a rough month. This is why feeling motivated and how you feel motivated is so important. Feelings change daily, okay? Your energy, your sleep, your stress, your hormones, life demands, work schedule, all of this impacts how you feel. Bad sleep, low motivation. Stress at work, low motivation. Family issues, low motivation. Slow sales, discouragement. So if your business depends on how you feel that day, it becomes unstable. When people say, I'm waiting to feel ready, What they really mean is I'm waiting to find confidence, I'm waiting to feel excited, or I'm just not comfortable yet. Confidence usually comes after action. Comfort comes after repetition. Skill comes after practice. So looking to be motivated, or if that's like what you're focused on is I don't have motivation, I need to feel motivated, that can really pigeonhole what you're doing. It can really pigeonhole the feeling, right? I'm not feeling it. This is not easy. What we do out here is not easy. And if we're watching what everybody else's wins are all the time and we're focused on that instead of what's going to be our win, how are we going to show up that's authentic to us, that can be a huge disappointment and highly discouraging. So be mindful of motivation. Businesses cannot be built on moods. Businesses cannot be built on moods because moods are unpredictable, but business requires predictability and action. Okay? Orders still need to ship. You still need to message your customers. Your content still needs posting, and your systems still need attention. Even when you're tired, you're discouraged, or you're not excited. Even in those times. Successful businesses are not built by emotional energy. They're built by repeated behavior. You want to be predictable. You want to be able to have people count on you, that they know that when they're shopping with you or when they're watching you, you are predictable. You are showing up not only for yourself, your business, but you're also showing up for those that are looking to either shop from you or learn from you. Okay? Because even if you're not a teacher or you're not teaching during your live, you are still making products while you're live. And people are still watching and learning from you, regardless of whether you are teaching during your live or not. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So don't say, hey, I'm not a teacher. Don't think that and don't say that. When you show up live and you are creating, whether it's crafting, wreathing, whatever it is that you're doing, you are teaching, you are motivating, you are inspiring. So don't let anybody tell you different. So when you think, oh, they won't care if I don't show up live today, that's not true. That's not true. You have an audience, whether it's one person or a million people. You have an audience. You have a purpose. There's only one you, and there's a reason you're on here. There's a reason why you're feeling called to go live. That's just a fact, okay? Motivation is a feeling where consistency is a decision. Okay? Motivation is how you feel. Consistency is what you choose. Who here has started something feeling excited and then lost motivation later? And that could be for whatever reason. You know, did you start something and you were super excited, but the momentum didn't happen right away? You didn't get people to buy into whatever you were excited about right away, so then you question yourself? You know, that can dampen your motivation too. But whatever it is that you were excited about, there was a reason for it. And sometimes it's just a matter of shifting one thing to get that buy-in. Because people like backing up things that inspire them, that make them feel motivated. Seeing you out here doing your thing, you know, time after time after time, and then they're watching you scale your business. They're watching you grow because you're consistent. That's inspirational. That motivates others when they see that, hey, the only thing that they have that I don't have is grit. And you can acquire grit. You can. You just have to have that mindset. You have to have that mindset that you are going to go after it regardless of who your audience is, regardless of who's watching, okay? Because it doesn't matter. You just need to be consistent, and you need to choose it because it's authentic to you. You believe in it because it's authentic to you. You're not showing up in a way that's not going to be consistent. Because when you show up and it's not authentic to you, it will not be consistent. So show up authentically as yourself, as who you are, and that way you can be consistent and build your audience. So if motivation isn't reliable, then what does consistency actually look like in real life? Because this is where people get confused. When people hear consistency, they usually picture perfection. I know I did. I know I did when I first heard about being consistent. You have to be perfect. That's not true. Posting every day, working nonstop, hustling all hours, and that's not what consistency is. Consistency is not burnout. It's not being perfect. It's not doing everything at once. And it's not comparing your output to someone else's full time. Not everybody is out here doing this full time. There are several that this is their full time, okay? But not everybody is full time. So if you are starting out and this happens to be like a side gig of yours or something that you're dabbling in because it would be something that you want to replace your income, it takes grit. It takes being out here. It takes being consistent, but it's also understanding what consistency is and what consistency is not. Real consistency looks boring sometimes. It looks small. It looks unglamorous. And that's why most people quit it. Examples can be personalized. Packing one order, posting one video, responding to messages, designing one product, learning one skill, showing up live even when you're tired. It's not easy, but it builds consistency. It's not about doing everything today. It's about doing something today and then doing it again tomorrow. So when you start something, see if it's something that you can consistently do, regardless of what that thing is. If you can't go live daily, which several people don't go live every day because that's a lot of work, but they go live once a week, they go live 2 times a week, they go live when it makes sense to them. Okay, consistency is not perfection. You do not have to be perfect, but you do have to show up and be predictable. Okay, so consistency. Your brain builds habits through repetition, not intensity, repetition. That's how your brain builds habits. Small repeated actions create automatic behavior. Automatic behavior requires less energy. Less energy equals easier way to stay consistent. It's how our brains work, okay? So if you ask yourself, I tried, fill in the blank. I tried to do this, but couldn't stay consistent. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. That just means that whatever that thing was, that consistency that you couldn't keep up with, that just means that you need to change what that consistent thing is. Does that make sense? Because once you have success in what you're being consistent in, and you can be consistent in that one thing, it encourages you to then be consistent in other areas, in other things that you're trying to build. So get that consistency in whatever it is that you need to scale up, and do that one thing at a time. Doesn't have to be everything, but it does need to be one thing. Perfection is what kills consistency, because perfection makes you overthink, and overthinking leads to procrastination. Okay? Waiting for perfect lighting, perfect wording, perfect timing, perfect product. Progress beats perfection every single time. Let's be honest. Most of us are not full-time creators. We're working jobs. We have families. We're tired. We're busy. So consistency has to fit real life. 20 minutes after work, one task on a lunch break, one product on the weekend, one post scheduled. You can schedule your post. If that's something that you struggle with, you can take time and schedule your posts across all platforms. So make that something that's important, because again, in order for people to buy from you, they have to know you, they have to trust you, and they have to believe in what you're selling. So the only way to do that is to be out here in people's faces. Yes, you have to post obnoxiously. So I wouldn't do that definitely on my private accounts where I have friends and family that I run into all the time, because that's not what they signed up for. But on your business pages, absolutely. It's free advertising. It's absolutely free advertising for your business, okay? So you are your brand. You are your brand. So you need to put yourself out here, and you need to be obnoxious about it. People need to know exactly who you are. Every time they see something pop up, they know exactly who that is. So that's your invitation to be obnoxious out here. So consistency doesn't require more time, but it does require more intention. So be intentional about the things you're being consistent in. It has to be something that you can keep up with. And don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. If you try something and it doesn't work, pivot. Change your focus, shift it, do something different, but find a way that you can show up consistently for your business, because that matters. Here's a question for you. What's one small thing you could realistically be consistent with this week? One thing that you can be consistent with this week. It's up to you what that consistent thing is. Okay? It's up to you what that consistent thing is. Not big, not perfect, just real. Now, here's where people get discouraged, because they're trying to be consistent while juggling real life, jobs, kids, stress, exhaustion. So let's talk about consistency when life gets busy. Nobody is building inside a perfect bubble. Nobody is. Okay? Everybody has life happening. Whether it's to them, at them, whatever, life is happening. For example, this country, at least the southern portion, mid and southern portion, is going to be going through some kind of storm this weekend. That's life happening, okay? It's out of our control. We have no say about where the storm's going to hit, whether or not we keep power or not, whether or not there's stuff still left in the grocery store. I mean, those are facts. That is life happening. So nobody is building their business in a perfect bubble, especially not this weekend. Here's where a lot of people get stuck. They understand consistency, but then real life shows up. Work, family, stress, and suddenly consistency feels impossible. Most people building businesses right now are not sitting at home with unlimited time. You're working jobs, you're raising families, you're dealing with life, and that matters. Full-time jobs. I have a full-time job. Part-time jobs. My business is currently my part-time job. Kids. I have 2, but they live outside the home. Health. Guys, this is flu season. So health is an issue, whether it's you, your spouse, your kids, whatever. Health, right? You're dealing with this. Aging parents. That's life. Household responsibilities. I don't know about you, but my laundry doesn't do itself. My house is not a self-cleaning house. Could you imagine having a self-cleaning house? And my business isn't going to run itself. My business is not going to run itself. When you're busy, your mental energy gets drained. Decision fatigue sets in. Your brain wants comfort, not effort. After a long day, willpower drops. And I don't know about you guys, but is willpower really a thing? I mean, I can talk myself in and out of stuff, but is willpower really a thing? Does it really exist? I don't know. I don't know. Your brain looks for easy dopamine. Scrolling, resting, or just plain avoidance. Business tasks require intentional effort. That's why consistency feels hardest at the end of the day. Not because you're lazy, but because your energy is already spent. Your energy is already spent. The end of the day is that's not when you have your best ideas. That's not even when you have your best effort. And sometimes, I don't know if this happens to any other creatives, but sometimes you can't even fall asleep because your brain is churning everything that you did or did not do that day. Or ideas start popping in and you're just like, oh my gosh, why now? Why is this happening to me now? Does anybody else have a notebook on the side of their end table so that they can sit there and write whatever it is that they're going through, whatever it is that they need to pay attention to the next day? Because if not, your brain is just going to sit there and you're supposed to remember. When you're falling asleep, you're supposed to remember. It never works. That never works. All right. So consistency in busy seasons doesn't mean doing more. It means doing what's realistic. So when you're busy, okay, and things are just, you have little to no time to yourself, that is a problem. That is a problem. Little to no time to yourself, okay? You need to stop, put a pin in it, okay? And remember that your consistency is to build. It's not doing more when you're already drowning, okay? But the consistency that you build in the slow times will be so instrumental when you are busy. When you are busy, so instrumental when you are busy. And sometimes it means lowering that bar. You know, give yourself a break, give yourself grace, okay? Give yourself abundant grace, okay? You can't do 10 tasks, but you can do 1. If you can't post daily, post weekly. If you can't go live long, go live for short periods of time. That counts too. The way you show up matters less than showing up. Oh, you're fine. Thanks, Michael Marie, for letting me know. You're fine. So it's a matter of showing up, not how you show up, but showing up matters. Okay? Showing up matters no matter how you do it. Okay? So it's not perfect, but it will build the consistency that you need. You don't need more hours. You need a realistic rhythm. Because what do people say? If I only had so many, like more hours in the day, I hate to point out the fact that it doesn't matter how much more time you have, because it doesn't matter how much more time you have. I mean, the perfect example is thinking of your craft room or craft area. Remember that one little area that you had ribbon on that was contained? How do your areas look now? What does it look like now? I bet you anything you have either grown or overgrown into your space. Okay, so if we had more hours in a day, the same thing would happen. We would always need more. Okay, so you have to focus on having a realistic rhythm to the hours that you do have and make that important. Okay, so you're going to have the most productive time in this amount of time. Okay, most productive time in this amount of time. Thank you. Who here is building while working a job and or juggling family responsibilities? I know there are others. I know there are others, because that's the reality of what most people are doing. Okay? What's the hardest part about staying consistent for you right now? What is the hardest part about staying consistent for you right now? That's something to think about, right? That's something to think about. You are not supposed to live into perfection. Perfection's too hard. Guys, we're not supposed to even touch perfection. Not getting in your own head, distractions, juggling my family life. Real, real, real. All of those struggles are real. So now we see where motivation, when we think we need motivation, isn't really what we need. We need consistency more so than anything else, because motivation is based on feelings. Consistency is what we can control. We can control how we show up. We have control over that. Motivation to me seems more like an outside, external something that happens. Right. Consistency is key. Absolutely, Miss Jen. Absolutely. So if we know motivation fades and consistency has to fit into real life, then here's the next piece people don't think about. What happens when you keep showing up over time? Because that's where the compound effect comes in. Being consistent over time, the compound effect comes in. So many times when you're talking to other creatives, they'll say something like, I couldn't believe that this thing that I started doing, that I told myself I was going to do, regardless of how I felt, regardless of what was going on, this was something I'm going to be consistent with. And then fast forward 6 months, a year, and they're like, wow, because I was consistent in this, it's now working for me, not against me. It's working for me. It's doing all the things that it needs to do. Because I hate to tell you guys, this isn't something, you don't hear about overnight successes here. It's not like winning a competition, like a singing competition on American Idol or The Voice, and all of a sudden everybody knows your name. Okay? This is not overnight success. But you do build reputation with your customers, and you do become the person that they come to for all the decor needs. Okay? There you go, Jen. She said, I have to write down my schedule every day to stay consistent. That's what works for Jen. Okay? That is something that works for Jen. A lot of us need that task-oriented way to get things done. I mean, I'm a to-do list girl too. Okay. And here's the thing is you have to remember that when you're writing things down to get done, that's to remember. Okay. Just because you didn't get everything off of that list does not mean you're a failure. You have to remember all the other things that you got done that weren't on the list. Okay. Because sometimes, oh, who knows this saying? I have been busy all day, but I feel like I got nothing done. I hear that a lot. I have been busy all day, but I don't feel like I got anything done. That is where consistency is going to play a huge role for you. Because if you can figure out how to be consistent for your business, okay, consistent for your business. This takes 5 minutes. I'm going to do that. This takes a little bit more time, so I'm going to do it right before lunch or right after lunch, whatever that is. Add these things that you want to be consistent in something you're already doing daily. That has been like a game changer for me, because they say that if you want to add a habit to what you're doing, you need to incorporate that habit into something that you're already doing. Okay. How many of us have coffee first thing in the morning? How many people have coffee first thing in the morning? Okay. With that coffee, let's say that you want to start reading books for business. Let's just say that that's you. Okay. In the morning, while you're having your coffee, go ahead and read for 10 minutes, because 10 minutes into a business book is a lot better than never picking one up. Okay. Whatever it's going to take to get you to that next level for yourself is going to take consistency. And sometimes you are not going to be motivated to do it. But when you see results, I promise you're going to try to figure out other things that you can be consistent in so that you can scale your business to the next thing, to the next whatever that's going to be. Okay? Consistency is important. All right. The compound effect is so simple. Small actions done consistently over time create big results. Let me say that again. The compound effect is simple. Small actions done consistently over time create big results. It's not overnight success. It's not viral moments. It's gradual growth stacking up. Everyday examples of this: saving a little money over time. How many people have done that, even for your business? Let's say you want something that costs more than you're willing to spend right now. The way that you get that thing is you start squirreling a little bit at a time. Just squirrel it away, because we know that nothing is impossible for us. If we put effort in, we're going to get that reward. We're going to get what we want, okay? Going to the gym a few days a week. That's a real everyday example. Drinking more water daily. Has anybody made that a habit? Has anybody been consistent with that? I mean, that is a habit that you have to remind, especially when it's cold. I don't have a problem keeping up with my water intake when it's hot out. But when the temperature drops, the last thing I think about is drinking water, because the minute you get a chill, you're running to the bathroom, and that's not productive. There's nothing productive about running to the bathroom all the time because you're trying to be consistent in your water. You're trying to be good for your health, right? That's hilarious. I'm like, it happens. Business growth works the same way. One product, one customer, one decision at a time. Okay? Just like the what's the saying? you can eat an elephant, you just have to take it one bite at a time. Your business, one thing at a time. It doesn't have to be everything at a time, but you do have to get good at whatever it is you're doing. Whenever I say that, I think about bows, making bows for my wreaths, making bows to sell, making bows for decor, all of those things. When I tell you the level of frustration that I had because I could not figure out how to do a bow, how to hold the ribbon in my hand to successfully make a hand bow. Could not figure it out. I hate to admit this, but it is the truth. I still to this day struggle to make a hand bow, but I am so very grateful that they have tools. They have bow makers. They have bow makers where I can use a bow maker to hold the ribbon for me. And in my mind, when I'm twisting and turning and flipping and doing everything I'm supposed to do with the ribbons for a bow, that looks right to me. But it took me a year. And it took me a year of trying and learning, muscle memory, the whole thing. It took me an entire year before I looked at a bow and said, I like that. And I made that. Give yourself time, right? Thank goodness for the bow maker, my bow maker sisters. But at the same time, I have so much respect and admiration for those that can make a bow with their hand without any help, without any assistance, without the bow maker. But I'm incredibly thankful and grateful for all the tools that we get to use in what we make, because if it hadn't been for somebody wanting to solve a problem, somebody solved a problem, therefore they gave us the tool that we need in order to make bows. Jen, I'm the same way. I can't make a hand bow. And I've had somebody standing next to me twisting the ribbon in my hand for me. Something about it not clicking. It just hasn't clicked yet. I haven't given up. I have not given up, but I haven't figured it out yet. Hi, Miss Lisa. Welcome to my segment of Real Talk. We're talking about motivation and consistency. Right now, we're in the consistency part and how important it is to show up. Most people quit because they don't see immediate results. And our brains want fast feedback. Fast feedback. That's what our brains want. Our brains want instant gratification, that dopamine drop. But consistency doesn't do that for us. Consistency makes us like frustrated, right? But that's why it's important, because once we build these habits for our business, it's a win-win. It is a win-win, okay? We want quick wins, we want validation, and we want proof it's working. But growth usually happens quietly. It happens quietly, it happens behind the scenes, and before it shows up publicly, nobody knows what you're doing. Your consistency is yours, and it's private, and it's growing, but it's yours, and it happens where nobody's watching. So consistency, focus on where you can be consistent for you and your business. There is a phase in building, okay, where you're doing, right, the work, but not seeing the payoff yet. Okay? You're doing the work, you're building, okay, you're doing the work, but you're not seeing payoff. We can actually make that really relatable when it comes to weight gain and weight loss. It feels like when you're gaining weight, it happens super, super fast. But when you're trying to lose weight, the scale seems to be, it stays still. You're eating differently, you're working out, you're doing all the things, and nothing is happening. Consistency can feel like that sometimes. Consistency can feel like that sometimes. And doing that hard work, remember, this isn't easy. Having a handmade business isn't easy. It takes grit, it takes work, it takes putting yourself out here. But that consistency is going to make you stand out. It's going to make you be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, however many years into it, because you didn't give up. Okay, because you know you have a calling, you know that you can do this, and you will scale. Okay, you will scale your business. Consistency is the key. Okay, so these are the things that can be hard because they're all happening behind the scenes. Posting with low to no views. That's hard. Creating with no sales or few sales. Frustrating. Going live with a small audience. Okay? Going live with a small audience. Guys, I only have 6 of you in here, but I'm not going live just for me. I'm sharing valuable information, reminders, motivation, all those things for you. And then I'm taking this stuff and I'm reposting it to YouTube in case somebody wants to see it over there. Because we just need to be reminded. We need to have and surround ourselves with people that can motivate, that can move, that can give you a call to action, that gives you that dopamine hit. Because think about it. When you're in doing all the things, right, and you're hyper-focused here and you dip, or you struggle, or whatever happens, you have to be reminded that you're getting a high five. You're getting a high five. You are doing the hard stuff. You are doing the hard thing. You are waking up every single day, choosing to do something for you that beautifies people's homes, that make people feel like when they invite somebody to their home, and they brag about, look at all the beautiful decor, that person took the time to go find the shop that speaks to their heart so that they can make their home feel the way that they want their home to feel. That's a big deal. You hear people all the time say, I'm not creative, I'm not crafty, I'm not this, and I'm not that. And we get to say, I made that. Absolutely. Absolutely. There is so much good that your skills are providing for other people because we are all gifted. We're just gifted differently. We are all gifted. We're just gifted differently. So use those gifts that you are innately given. Those are your gifts, and use them for good. Use them for good. Put yourself out there. Take the chance. Somebody could just need exactly what you're saying, and you're being used to say that. So do that. Yesterday, I watched Lisa. That was my first time watching Lisa. And she was saying things that spoke so dearly to my heart, and I let her know that. I let her know that, hey, I needed this today. And she just came up on my FYP. What a gift that was. Okay? What we're doing is not easy. Okay? But we need encouragement. We need encouragement. We need people that have been doing this for a long time telling us, don't give up. Don't give up, because I guarantee you everybody around you in your, in real life, IRL, everybody that's around you doesn't get what you're doing. They're not going to cheer you on like somebody else who's out here grinding the grind, having grit, getting it done, getting to that next place. Not everybody's going to understand that. And that can be disheartening too, right? They just don't know. They just don't know. They want to support you, but they don't know how to. So we are out here reminding other small business, small creators, please don't stop. Don't give up because of fill in the blank. Look at what you're doing or not doing or what you're focusing on and make the adjustments that you need to do to show up better for you, for yourself. Don't drown in too much of anything. Too much product, de-stash it. Too much stuff that you've made, sell it at on a fire sale, just make sure it leaves your home. But do not give up on what innately is your calling. Okay? Because I know it can be discouraging, and I know that you question yourself. I mean, we all do. That's the human thing to do. But building a business is not for the faint of heart. It just isn't. Okay? So let's get back to what consistency is really building. Consistency isn't just building sales. It's building skills, confidence, habits, and systems. Okay? You get better at creating when you're building a skill. So let's say there's something that you want to learn how to do. It takes time. Okay? Nobody came out of the womb knowing how to make a bow, paint a tree, use a crayon, use a marker, use scissors. Nobody was born that way. So understand that getting better at creating sometimes means building a different skill or learning a different skill that will then give you that joy or that motivation to be consistent in learning something, learning that new skill. Hi, Miss Candy. Welcome in. Okay. Getting more comfortable on camera. Who struggles with getting more comfortable on camera? Who struggles with getting more comfortable on camera? Do you have any idea how to fix that? How do you fix getting more comfortable on camera? Get on camera. You will find that the only way to get better at something is to flumble through it. Right? Doing it more. Absolutely. You have to do it more. To get more comfortable doing it, you have to do it more. Okay? And you have to learn what works, because what works for one person may not work for you. But that doesn't mean that there's something wrong. That just means you have to figure out what will work for you. Okay? What works for one doesn't work for everybody. Okay? And you're building muscle memory. Guys, whatever you say, the words that come out of your mouth, you believe. Okay? So if you're having negative talk, if you're saying, I can't, I never, I have a hard time, that's not going to get those things to be better for you. You have to flip the script. Okay. So a lot of people say, I'm not tech savvy. Like, that's a big thing that you hear people say is, I'm not tech savvy. How do you fix that? Do you just automatically become more tech savvy? Well, no. But what you can do is learn skills to do the things that you want to do and be consistent as, and learn them. And it's not an overnight thing. It's a slow build, but you have to learn them. It doesn't just happen automatically. Okay? So build muscle memory. Even when the numbers aren't moving yet, you are growing just by being consistent. Even if the numbers aren't growing yet, you're being consistent. Okay, so you will see growth from your consistency. Okay, so remember that. Consistency requires long-term thinking in a short-term world. What does that mean? Social media highlights that have overnight wins. Guys, that's a unicorn. That's a unicorn. It does not happen all the time. There was somebody that was very surprised that something that they shared that has been shared before, they had shared it before, because they solved a problem, went viral. And it was unexpected, but at the same time, it hit at the right time and it took off. That wasn't something that this person predicted or could have predicted. It just so happened that way. Because when you're out here helping people solve problems, people are going to enjoy that. They're going to like that. They're going to want to see more of that. If you're out here solving problems, which we do when we are designing wreaths that look beautiful, because the ones in the store are janky and they're selling them for astronomical prices for what they are. Let's just face it. The store-bought wreaths are janky. I said what I said. And I stand by what I said. I stand by what I said. Real success is slow and steady. And that's what we want. We want slow and steady growth because that way we can keep up with it. Okay? If we grow too fast, just like if you build a house too fast, the chances of it falling apart are much higher. So slow growth is important. Slow, steady growth is important. Okay? You're not behind. Remember that. You're not behind. You're building. So that's where comparison, you have to look at where you're at, what's working for you, how you're building, how you're showing up, because that matters. Okay? Just because your wins doesn't look like somebody else's wins, your wins are still important. Okay? Your wins are still important. So do not compare yourself. Okay? The things that you repeat, what you repeat, you become. Okay? What you repeat, you become. What does that mean? Okay? If you're getting consistent and learning new skills and continuously growing, okay, your value goes up. Do you realize that? When you are consistent and building your skills, your value, people will see the value in you. And only you can decide what that means. Only you can decide what's valuable. What's a valuable skill that I can build? For us wreath makers, it's what we can learn with our designs, right? You know, if a customer can buy from us and this wreath is going to last them a long time, value. Okay? If we can offer somebody more bang for their buck, where they can get one wreath, switch out bows, and have several seasons or holidays taken care of, because that's what they like. They don't like the big done up bow, wreaths, but they like the simple wreath with different bows. That's value. So when we're solving problems for our customers, we increase our value. Okay? So that's what we got to think about. What you consistently do today becomes who you are 6 months from now. It becomes who you are 6 months from now. If you are going to get good at a skill, you have to give it time for that skill to grow. You cannot start doing something. You can't start making a wreath and decide that wreath's going to be worth 4 or 5 times what your supplies are, because your skills aren't there yet. Your skills just aren't there yet. So you have to allow time for you to build the skills that you need in order to warrant that value, that price. Okay? Here's a question. Who here has ever wanted to quit because it felt like nothing was working? I mean, that's a fact. Some people have wanted to just throw in the towel because nothing they were doing was working. Absolutely nothing that they were doing was working. They took information from this, they took information from that, they took information here, they took information there. Nothing is working. So yeah, they want to throw their hands up. We want to throw our hands up and be like, I'm done. This is too much. I can't do it. But if you for 1 second believe that that is true, even though you love doing what you do, forget about everything, all the negativity, all the struggle and frustration and whatever. Throw that away and show up just doing what you love and not worry about everything else that's not working. Focus on what you need to be consistent at, no matter what that is. Because the main thing that matters is that you show up, that people know you, they trust you, and will buy from you. That's all that matters. So all that other stuff will work itself out. It will, okay? But learning and growing and being consistent is where it's at. It just is. That is where it's at. What's something you have been doing consistently that you don't feel results from yet? What is something that you have been doing consistently that you have not gotten results from yet? That's a question for you to answer. That is a question for you to answer, because we're all there. We all have to start. When you start building something, it's at infant level. You can't do something and expect for it to blow up. You have to be consistent and build it. You have to. Have you guys ever watched a 3D printer print? It's kind of fascinating. But it's a thing that goes around and around constantly, right? While it builds, the filament builds. You know, and it's literally microscopic. Had to get the word out of my brain. It's so small that the little growth it does, and it takes several hours to make pretty much anything with a 3D printer. But if you think about what you're building that way, then you take a lot of pressure off of yourself when things aren't happening right away. When things aren't happening right away, the only way that it's going to grow is in your consistency, no matter what that it is. Okay, so be consistent. Figure out how to show up consistently in the small way so that you can grow in a big way. Okay, that's important. That is so important. We've talked about how small actions add up over time, but let's be real. Nobody stays consistent perfectly. Life interrupts, motivation dips, and this is where most people give up. Okay? This is where most people give up. So if you've been doing this for however long you've been doing this, and you realize that you're not perfect, and that is overly frustrating for you, release yourself of that. Release yourself of that. You're fired from being perfect. How's that? I fired you. You no longer have a requirement of perfection. How does that feel? You can even quit perfection. You can even say, I quit. Take this and, shove it. You don't have to be perfect. Perfect isn't attainable. It just isn't. So what you can do is be consistent, because that's an action. Nobody said be perfectly consistent. No, you got fired from being perfect, but consistency will build. Okay? Starting small things, building to bigger things. But consistency is what's going to do that, okay? Every single person building something will fall off at some point. Miss a day, miss a week, lose momentum, feel stuck. It's normal. It's normal. This is not something new. Everybody building something goes through this, okay? It's human. Because guess what? That is what we are. We are human. So that's normal, okay? And it's part of growth. It's all part of growth. Just remember that just because you put something down doesn't mean you're not going to pick it back up. Just because you put it down doesn't mean you're not going to pick it back up. Okay, so don't beat yourself up. Give yourself grace in the season that you're in as you're shifting, changing, getting to that next place that you need to be. Okay, give yourself grace in that season. And the problem isn't falling off. The problem is what you tell yourself. Pause for puzzle piece. There we go. The problem isn't falling off. The problem is what you tell yourself when it happens. Okay? Most people don't quit because they're incapable. They quit because of shame. They shame themselves. They feel guilty. They don't want to share what they're going through or the struggle that they're having. So they quit because it's easier. So they think. Guys, you have been at this for a while. You have been building for a while. If it's not scaling, look at your consistency. Look to see where you're being consistent. And like I said, you don't have to do everything at once. Okay? You just have to do one thing consistently and do that one thing consistently well. I didn't say perfect. I said well. Do that one thing well. It matters, okay? It matters. Okay? Don't tell yourself things like, I messed up. I already messed up, so why should I even try? I'm behind. Guys, that is the biggest lie. That is the biggest lie. I wish that I could take, you know, the Etch-a-Sketch board? That's what our brains are when we're telling ourselves lies. I'm behind now. Shake it. What happens? Those words go away because it's not true. You are not behind. What are you behind? What are you behind? You're behind whatever you tell yourself. But if you tell yourself that doesn't make sense. How are you behind? Just ask yourself that. What's the point? That's something else we tell ourselves. What's the point? Well, the point is you were given a dream. The point is that you make beautiful items and you get so much joy out of making those beautiful items. But you can't keep making and making and making and stacking up in your house. You have to let them go. You have to share them with the world. You have to let people buy them from you. Okay, so that's another thing, right? What's the point? Because you were made to create, and not everybody was gifted that way. I'll start again later. When does that ever work? I'll start again later. That sounds like procrastination to me, right? And that never works. So consistency will help you in that regard as well. We also tend to think in extremes. Perfect or failure, all in or not at all. Gosh, I am so guilty of that. I am so guilty of I'm either all in or I'm all out. Why does it have to be one or the other? Why does it have to be one or the other? Miss out on a workout, quit the gym. Miss one post, stop posting. Miss 1 week, give up. That's a quitter mentality. It's hard. It's hard. Nobody said it's impossible. It's just hard. You can do hard things. You can do hard things, and you can do hard things well. Okay? You can do hard things well. Okay? Goodness gracious. Consistency isn't about never falling off. It's about how fast you get back on. It's not about falling off. It's about how fast you get back on. Okay? And whatever that means to you, what works for you. You are an individual. Therefore, you're going to show up as an individual. You're not a cookie cutter. You're not a cookie cutter in your business either. Okay? You're different. You're going to take little pieces of what other people have found successful for them, and you're going to Frankenstein it into something that works for you. And that's important to know. Okay? So please learn from others. Please learn what's worked from them. Just because you can't do it exactly that way doesn't mean you can't take something from what they do and reinvent it for yourself. Because that's what matters. That's what matters. Restarting doesn't require a big dramatic comeback. It requires one small decision. Post one video. Pack one order. Clean one workspace area. Clean out your spaces. It helps with creativity. Respond to one message. Learn one thing. Because that's something that you can do. It's sustainable. That's something that you can do. That is sustainable. Every time you restart, instead of quitting, you train your brain that you don't give up on yourself. You need to train your brain that you don't give up on yourself. You hear me? You don't give up on yourself. Don't do that. You have value. You have value. Just because you were born, you have value. So please understand this. Please get that. Okay? Every time you restart instead of quitting, you retrain your brain that you don't give up on yourself. Okay? It builds resilience. It builds discipline. It builds identity. Okay? It's important. No, you're fine. Don't be sorry because you're driving. Please drive safe. You don't become consistent by being perfect. You become consistent by practicing recovery. Okay, you need to recover from those feelings of not being motivated, being frustrated, being fill in the blank. You need to be recovering from that, okay? Missing a day does not make you a failure. Missing a day does not make you a failure. Quitting does. Hear my words. Missing a day does not make you a failure. Quitting does. Don't quit on yourself. You're too talented. You have too much value to quit on yourself, okay? Restarting is not a weakness. It's a strength. If you have to restart, that's okay. That's where your strength will come from. Okay, that's where that grit is built. Okay, don't give up on yourself. Do not give up on yourself. Who here has ever quit something because you felt like you fell off? Who has ever quit something because you felt like you fell off? I mean, I think everybody has. I think pretty much everybody has. If you're honest, what's something you stopped that you wish you would have restarted? What's something you stopped that you wished you would have restarted? I mean, we all have a litany of excuses, you know. One of them is, it's too far. I don't want to be in that Bible study anymore because it's too far. It's not convenient. That's my dinner time. There are so many things that we stop or fall off from that sometimes we wish we wouldn't have and we would have restarted. For me, I wish I would have never stopped writing in cursive. I did learn cursive when I was in 3rd grade. But I stopped writing in cursive. So I script write in print, but I don't write in cursive. I wish I would have never stopped, because now I would love to do the calligraphy and stuff like that, but I'm finding I have a hard time with those small, fine motor skills. But that doesn't mean I can't retrain myself, right? Think about something that you stopped that you wish you wouldn't have. It can be something as simple as your writing. Trying to see. Okay. Time-wise, we're still good. Okay, so motivation, consistency, all the factors that are included in that. Okay. This is where what you surround yourself matters. Okay. If you are surrounded by people that are constantly negative or questioning every single decision you make, that's not going to keep you moving forward. That's not going to motivate you to get to that next step. That's not going to encourage you to consistently do something. That's where community becomes so important. I cannot reiterate that enough. Restarting is easier when you're not doing it alone, when you have people encouraging you, checking in on you, and building alongside you. Okay, so be mindful of who you're surrounding yourself with. I talked about this a lot last week. Okay, do not isolate yourself, because what you're doing is hard, and you need to have a community that is behind you, that is cheering you on, that is answering your questions, that is motivating you, that is keeping you accountable to all the things that you're building. Okay, it's important. It matters. I wish I could just sit down and have a conversation face to face with you and talk to you about who you have in your corner, because it's important. It's important to have people in your corner. We've talked about restarting rather than quitting. And here's the truth. Restarting is a lot harder when you're doing it alone. And that's why community matters. Okay? Isolating means that when you think about not doing anything or not getting to your next level or not wanting to keep going because it's hard, you need those people that tell you, I know it's hard, but you can do it. I know you don't want to do fill in the blank, but it's important that you do it. But you need people encouraging you in that way. And not all of us have supportive, significant others at home, because they don't understand. They don't understand what it's like to be consistently out here, consistently putting yourself, your handmade items out in front of people, hoping somebody will buy. They don't understand. It doesn't make them bad or wrong. They just don't get it. So you need people that understand, that celebrate your wins as if they were their own, that see your strengths and encourage you to continue that path. Okay, you do need other people. We all do. Most people trying to build a business don't have anyone in their everyday life who understands what they're doing. Friends work regular jobs, family doesn't get online business, spouses support emotionally but not technically, neighbors aren't building brands. Isn't that true? You're building a brand, and guess what? You're the brand. You're it. You are your brand. So you end up carrying everything in your own head. You end up carrying everything in your own head. Community isn't just people chatting. It's support, perspective, accountability, and encouragement. Someone to ask questions, someone who understands the struggle, someone who reminds you to keep going. Someone who celebrates wins. Community fills the gap that motivation can't. Okay? Community fills the gap that motivation can't. When you see other people showing up, it makes it easier to show up for yourself. It just does. It makes it easier for you to show up for yourself. You normalize effort. You normalize mistakes. You normalize slow growth. You normalize restarting. As a community, you normalize the things that otherwise make people say, I give up, I quit, I can't, I don't get it, I don't understand it, I don't want to do it anymore. Okay? But remember when you were younger. Remember before all the naysayers, all the hurt feelings, all the questionable things happened in your life where there was nothing anybody could tell you no to. You were going to figure out a way to do whatever it is that you wanted to do. There was a time in your life that was a reality. Tap into that. Don't let somebody come along and tell you you can't do something. Don't let them tell you what you can and can't do. Don't let them label you or stick you in a box that you don't belong in. You decide that. You define that. Nobody can make you do that or be that. Okay? So you have to take control of that. Only you can do that. Only you can do that. Community makes consistency contagious. That's a lot of C words. Community makes consistency contagious. It motivates you. It just does. One small consistent action builds growth. Period. End exclamation point. End of quote. Okay? You need to do that for yourself. And not all communities are healthy. And that is important. Healthy communities encourage learning, share knowledge, support growth, celebrate wins, and they don't shame beginners. They just don't. They don't shame beginners. No question is a dumb question. None. None whatsoever. If you don't know something, you ask it. Just ask it. Hey, Mr. Justin. Okay, so if you don't know something, just ask. Okay, but that's what good communities do. Healthy communities encourage, share, support, celebrate, and they don't shame beginners. Unhealthy communities have drama, competition mindsets, gatekeeping information, comparison culture, ego-driven leaders. That's not healthy for anybody. Okay, that's not healthy for anybody. If you don't leave that community time that you spend in there feeling inspired, energized, uplifted, supported, ready to rock your business, then you need to go somewhere else. You need to go, that just doesn't fit what you're looking for. Go somewhere else, please. Go somewhere else. Okay? And you don't have to knock down the community you're leaving because it didn't work for you. But please find a place where you can fit and what makes sense and that you can be encouraged by, because you always have to go into and leave a community setting feeling like you can conquer your business. It's important. Super duper important. Okay? Where you plant yourself matters. And I think Justin was the one that said last week about, you'll get fertilized depending where you go. There's fertilizer. So be mindful where you plant yourself. It's important. Community isn't just about what you get. It's also about what you bring. Hear me clearly. Community isn't just about what you're getting from it. What are you bringing to that community? Because that matters just as much. Okay, that matters just as much. Are you encouraging others? Are you showing up consistently? Are you supporting wins? Are you being respectful? Strong communities are built by strong participants. That's a fact. Strong communities are built by strong participants. You can't just show up in a community and be like, okay, what am I getting from this? If you're not getting involved, it's like we're going to the gym and just standing there, not getting on a machine, not lifting weights, not running the track. You're not going to get any benefit out of it. You can't just walk in and say, okay, I'm here. Now what? Okay, so you have to be an active, positive participant as well. You don't have to build alone, but you do have to choose to build together. Okay, you have to choose that. Isolation slows your growth. Connection accelerates it. Okay, so the community that you belong to has to fit what your needs are. Okay, the community you belong to has to fit what your needs are. What is it that you are trying to grow in? Okay, not every community is the same. It's not rinse and repeat. So you do have to put in the effort to figure that out for yourself. You know, there are communities that encourage and support your business. Like that's what they talk about mostly is your business. There are communities that teach design. Like if you're a maximalist designer, okay, so that's the clientele that you are aiming for. Some groups aren't going to work for you because that's not the style of designs that they are teaching or showing or working on. Okay, so you need to be intentional about where you're putting yourself. And that's on you. You have to ask yourself some pretty important questions and then decide where you're going to put yourself. But you need to invest in you so that you can scale and grow. Isolation isn't going to get you there. That's just a fact. You can't, there's no way to do that alone. Okay? Who here feels stronger when you're surrounded by supportive people? Do you feel stronger? Do you feel like you got answers that you were looking for, questions answered that you needed, a perspective that you didn't see in the middle of a design? Because sometimes that happens. Sometimes you have a design and you know something's missing and you don't know what that thing is, but you have trusted people that you can go to that will be honest with you. Because I know everybody feels like they're being kind by saying, oh, it's beautiful. And that is kind. That is nice. But when somebody says to you, I know something is missing, please help me. Please be kind enough to help them. You're not hurting somebody's feelings if you're asking them, if they're asking you to help them figure out what they can't see. Okay, so you got to know your community. So in order to be part and active and be in a community that works for you, you need to know your community. I also have done many groups and didn't find the right match, but I think I am now. Emily, that matters. That matters. It makes a huge difference, doesn't it? But you don't know until you try. It's like having a smorgasbord of ice cream flavors. And you know how so many people have the opportunity, like you can go try the flavor, right? You can try this flavor and that flavor before you decide what you're going to buy into. Hi, Miss Angela. Before you figure out what you're going to buy into, you have to try different things, try different groups. It's like finding the right therapist. See, finding the right therapist, the right doctor, the right everything. You have to try different things until you find the right fit for you. And here's the other thing. Here's the other thing that nobody really talks about. Even if it's the right fit right now for the season that you're in, because that happens, right? The season that you're in, it's a perfect fit. Doesn't mean that down the line, that fit isn't going to fit anymore. And that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with the group. It just means that you need something different in the next season that you're going into. Okay? Here's the other thing. Loyalty, like I've been part of this group forever, so I feel like I can't leave. That's misguided. That shouldn't, you being part or not part of a group shouldn't change the relationships within the group. Does that make sense? Your relationships are your relationships regardless of whether or not you're in the group anymore. If you need to grow, to continue to grow differently, to do something different, to get that, go somewhere else. That should be okay always. Like, I encourage that. Don't become stagnant out of loyalty. Okay? Protect your peace. Let go of the things that are no longer working for you, because you're consistently going to need that next step. Exactly. Evolution. Absolutely. You evolve into that next best thing. But I'm so grateful, so glad that you found something that worked for you right now. That matters. That's important. Okay? The other question is what do you look for in a community? And that's an answer that you can answer for yourself. Like, what do you look for in a community? Okay, you have to find that perfect fit for you in the season that you're in. Sometimes it's even finding that perfect fit for you in the season you want to be in, like the next thing that you want to be doing. And that's good for you as well. Okay, but shifting and growing and being true to your journey matters. Okay, so give yourself some grace when it comes to that. Okay, it doesn't have to be emotional. Everybody needs to succeed, and everybody needs to find their spot, their place. Some people get overwhelmed because they think about the entire journey, the whole business, the big goals, the big vision. But you don't build everything today. You build today's piece today. One action, one decision, one small step. That's how consistency becomes manageable. Because we're talking about being consistent. When you stop carrying the whole mountain and just take the next step. Okay? Don't get overwhelmed by the entire journey. You know, that goal that needs steps for you to get there. Okay? You have to take the next step. Angela, that's what you're trying to learn? That's awesome. That's awesome. Some of you needed to hear this today. You are not failing because it feels slow. You're not failing because it's hard. You are not failing because you're tired. Slow doesn't mean broken. Quiet seasons still count. Learning seasons still count. You are building even when it doesn't feel exciting. Okay? Even when you don't feel motivated. Even when you're tired, you are still building. You don't become consistent by accident. You become consistent by showing up again and again. Okay? Show up again. Pick one thing to build consistency. One thing to build consistency, and watch you grow. You're going to grow regardless of what that thing is. Consistency will get you growing, okay? Every time you restart instead of quitting, every time you show up tired, every time you choose to keep going, you are becoming the kind of person who builds things that last. Okay? You're building things that last, and that matters. You have value, and I cannot say that enough. Okay? So whenever you feel like you're going to quit, whenever you feel like all your efforts aren't getting you to that next place, remember that everybody at some point feels that way. And all you need is to get through that thing to the next thing. Okay? Because that matters. It matters. So I want you to think about that one thing you're going to be consistent with after this live, whether it's one post, one product, one learning task, one organizational task, a 1-hour block, whatever that one thing is, not 10 things, one thing, that one real thing that you can be consistent as, that's going to make a huge difference for you. Huge difference for you. If you're committed to building this year, even imperfectly, even slowly, even tired, I want you to type build in the comments. That happens to be my word for the year. So that is my focus this year, is to build. But I know that we are all out here working super hard to build our dreams, to build that next thing that we want for ourselves. Okay, but we have to keep that frustration at bay. We do. We need to keep that frustration away from us. We need to be in community that is supportive enough to help us get to that next thing. It matters. It's important. I see you, Michael Marie. I see you, Christy. I appreciate you spending part of your day here at Real Talk, and I don't take that lightly. The space exists because you're here, because you're building and we're building together, and because we choose not to do this alone. So before we wrap up today, I just want to say this. Real Talk is not just about me talking. It's about community. It's about hearing each other's stories and learning from one another. If you've been building something and you want to share your business, your journey, your wins, or even your struggles, I would absolutely love for you to message me here and let me know you'd like to join me for Real Talk. I've had so many amazing makers and small business owners come on and share their stories. And if you haven't watched those yet, I really encourage you to go check them out on my YouTube channel. There is so much encouragement and wisdom in those conversations. And if you joined me before and you'd like to come back again, please know the door is always open. I love seeing how your businesses are growing and all the wonderful things that are happening in your lives. This space exists because of you, because we're building together, and I'm thankful to be part of this journey with you, your businesses, and this community. So if you are interested in joining me for Real Talk, I encourage you to reach out to me. They do happen on Fridays at 11 a.m. Central, and how long it lasts, how long our conversation goes, really depends on what the conversation is and the engagement in the audience. I will be pulling this down off of here and putting it up on YouTube so you can go back and listen should there be anything that I said today that you want to hear again. But until next Friday, please stay warm. Please stay safe for all of you that are going to be dealing with this storm. And we will talk again next Friday right here at 11 a.m. Have a great weekend.